All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us as we continue our ongoing webinar series on getting estate planning in place and in order. I'm Jeff Carbone, Managing Partner here at Cornerstone Wealth. Thank you all again for joining us and hope you're all having a great day. Fall is here. We're starting to see the leaves are changing. I think October 21st is the prime time, if I read that appropriately, but hope your families are well, friends are good, and everybody's getting through as we continue to battle through the new normal of COVID and what COVID brings to us all. With fall, great time to get organized, help our family, friends, and ourselves organize our lives, our stuff. It's all about getting organized and not just about getting organized, but knowing who can help, how does one get started, and becoming aware of the services that are available. We want to bring that to our clients. So Lori Fike English is the Chief Improvement Officer, or CIO. We have a CIO here, Lori, as well. Chief Financial Officer or Chief Investment Officer, Cliff Hodge, but different type of CIO. But Lori is with Rooms2Improve in North Carolina. She's our resident expert and guest for today. So thank you, Lori, for joining us.
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here and I appreciate the opportunity. I am going to flip right in or ask Ashley to flip us to the first slide, and we are going to go ahead and get started with this. I am, again, super excited to be here. If I go too fast, wave your hands, do your flags, do whatever you need to do. We'll go. Sorry, and I think you actually, I just jumped right in.
Hey, Lori, before we get started, let me just jump in with a couple things. I know you're excited because you want to jump right ahead.
I'm so excited.
I'm gonna slow us down 1 second. But no, lots of changes going on, Lori, in the estate planning world and potential, not just estate planning, but potential tax laws. I'm not going to go over the tax law changes, but coming to some of the potential estate planning changes that are going on, just to bring everybody up to date. And we'll probably, I know we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes on the team with the investment team, as well as the wealth managers and wealth advisors here at Cornerstone. A lot of white papers, a lot of interviews going on. So visit the website for more information. Of course, www.cwgadvisors.com. But some of the estate planning issues that are out there, and it's coming to the end, right? That things need to be changed. They could be changed any day now. The hope and our thoughts are they probably won't until next year. But one of the big items we're seeing is the reduction in the unified credit, which again is a really large number right now, 11.7 million per person, or 23.4 million for a couple. That is, we're looking at that probably going down to somewhere in the 6.2 million range. So about 12 to 12.4 million. So a lot more folks can be affected by the change that could be coming. And it's a use it or lose it. So it's important to talk to your advisors about whether you should be looking at it. And it's not if you're over, it's if you're close and your assets continue to grow. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed. A couple other items. We've had clients use these strategies in the past. One is the qualified personal residence trust, is when you put your home or a vacation property or some family farm, whatever it may be, into what they call a QPRT, or a qualified personal residence trust. They're looking at eliminating those trusts. And then they're also looking at a lot of tools that have been used called grant or retained annuity trust, or GRATs as they're better known, where you put the growth goes out of your estate and goes to your heirs. They're looking at eliminating and putting restrictions on those and bringing it back into one's estate. So another technique that could be going away. And then another big technique is the just use of a lot of clients using irrevocable life insurance trust, and where you set up an irrevocable trust, put some money in, purchase a life insurance policy. This has been a tool that has been used for years. They're looking at not eliminating, but changing the way we use it and making it taxable after it's enacted. So there's a lot going on in the estate planning world that we just need to be aware of. now, Lori, without further ado, again, I'm just going to, as I mentioned, is the Chief Improvement Officer at Rooms2Improve North Carolina. In addition, she's a senior move manager and a professional organizer. She holds her North Carolina real estate license and is a designated person status for auctioning in North Carolina. Lori and her team specialize in helping clients downsize, organize, plan their move, pack, and resettle. They provide online auction services, as I mentioned, and certainly you can visit them at their website at www.room2improvnc.com. And Lori, thanks for the reminder that you helped us when Cornerstone moved years back. You were part of our Chief Improvement Officer and helping us move. So Lori, thanks for joining us today. Really looking forward to hearing what you're all going to share with us today.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, if I go too fast, just raise Jeff, you just start flagging at me and let me know I need to slow down. But the first thing I want to do, Ashley, if you'll go ahead and flip, is sort of gain a consensus among us that we probably do have too much stuff. And, it may not all be our stuff. It may be stuff that our kids left in our house. A lot of times they move and they leave their stuff with us. As we age, it tends to come from maybe a mother or a father, or a parent, an aunt. And our homes become these repositories of all of this extra superfluous stuff that we don't necessarily need or use at the time. So just to put it in kind of a bigger picture and give you a feel for it, the average American, over 25% of us cannot get a car in our garage. So we're not using our garages for their intended purpose. The self-storage industry is booming. It's going nuts. It is a $40 billion industry. Their annual revenue is $40 billion in the United States that we are spending on just storing stuff that we're probably not going to ever use or deal with. It costs on average $10 per square foot in your home to store extra items you don't use. So for every square foot of kind of stuff piled up that you just keep in there, that's costing you on average $10 a month. And really at the end of the day, just like so many other things, the 80-20% rule absolutely applies. We tend to use 20% of our things 80% of the time. So if I have 20 pairs of black pants, reality is I probably wear 4 black pants that I really, really like that fit, and the rest of them sit in my closet. So the 80-20% rule absolutely sits in effect over the stuff that we accumulate in our house. So my goal today is to kind of share some tips with you and give you some ideas on how to get started with that, and then what to do once you decide to get started. So if Ashley will flip us into our first slide, we are going to talk about how we really have, oops, Ashley, if you can flip us. We have 3 choices at this point. We can do something now, we can do something later, or we can do it never. I'm hoping that most of you are in that kind of that now lane right now, and that's why you're here, and that's awesome. But I am certain that there's some people that are listening that are sort of in that later category. And I always have people that say, yeah, no, never, I'm not doing it. So if you're here with the now, that's awesome. Hold tight with me for 1 minute and we're going to get to what to do. The people that are in the later, I'm going to ask you to consider, if you're saying later, keep in mind that later tends to be what we say when we don't want to do something, right? So my daughter, when she was really little, I'll never forget, she wanted me to play with Polly Pockets. I hate Polly Pockets. I'm so sorry, but I do like them. And I used to always say later, Anna, later, later. And she looked at me one time and she said, Mama, later means never. And she was absolutely right. Later tends to mean never. So if you're saying, I'll do this later, what I'm going to ask you to do is actually write it down and put it on your calendar. So schedule a date with yourself for next week or in 2 weeks to actually do it. What happens when we write something down is it becomes real. It's no longer a thought, it's actually a real thing. And we hold ourselves accountable when we put it on our calendar. So if you'll go ahead and put that on a calendar, make a date for yourself to, next Tuesday, I'm going to clean the pantry closet. Next Thursday, I'm going to work on my workbench in the garage. Schedule it, it becomes real, and your odds of getting it done are a lot more, your higher success rate is going to happen there if you schedule it and put it down. The third is, those people that are in that never category, and we all know them. And a lot of us have actually been kind of on the receiving end of people who said never. And for that, I'm going to ask again for you to look at it from a different perspective. As a parent with our children, from the time that they're little bitty toddlers, we're always telling, pick up your toys, make your bed, clean up your mess. Oh my God, your feet stink. Take a shower, clean yourself up. They get older and we tell them, clean up your relationships if you make a mess, or if you do something with your credit or a job. It's your job as a human to kind of clean up what you create, what you do. And, we're not supposed to leave these trails of scattered stuff behind us as humans. And yet what happens when we go into never lane is our very, very last message to our children, our last gift, our last parting action is, here's my mess, clean it up. You deal with it. I'm done. I'm in a better place right now. Have fun. And so professionals like myself end up coming in to help, and we're dealing with adults who are grieving. They've just lost a mom or a dad or both parents, and they've got their own job. They've got their own family. They've got their own stuff to do, their own house. And now they've got to clean out an estate. And it's extremely difficult emotionally for them. And it's raw and it's hard, and it tends to cause them to get angry sometimes because they're just overwhelmed emotionally. A lot of times we'll see siblings who maybe had a frail relationship to begin with, or even had a good one, and this estate cleaning just really pushes them over the edge. So to the extent as parents, we can kind of clean up our own messes and our affairs in order, just like you're doing with Cornerstone, where you're getting your financial piece in order. Your stuff piece also needs to be in order, because it has really, really lasting impact on your loved ones when you leave. So I'm hoping I can kind of shift you over into that later and maybe now category. And so hoping that you're there a little bit, let's go ahead and talk about the first step. Ashley, if you will switch me to the first step. Oops, you went one too far. If you'll go back up, there should be a picture of mountains and a trail in the woods. The reason that I chose this picture is I want you guys to think about this as a journey. This is not it's not something we're going to get done in a day, right? We are going to have to work really hard at this. We're going to have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and we're going to have to work really hard to get to get to where we're going. So I like to think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. It's a process that takes perseverance. It takes discipline. It takes the ability to laugh. You've got to set reasonable goals. Just like if you're hiking, you are not going to say, I'm going to climb Mount Everest next week. You're going to do little small trails first. You don't want to start with your mom's pictures. You want to start with dishes. Pantyhose are a great one. Like, who wears pantyhose nowadays? Go clean out your pantyhose drawer. Start with easy things that are simple, that will give you some positive experiences and some success, and work your way up gradually, like a muscle that you build, to the higher, more emotional content of your home. So again, keep the distance in sight, but know that this is not going to always be easy. Sometimes it's going to be great. Sometimes it's going to be challenging, but just keep that perseverance, keep going, and you will, I promise you, get to the other side. So just like any journey, Ashley, if you'll flip us to our next slide, we are going to need the right tools, right? If we're going hiking, we need good boots, we need camping gear, we need things. So if we're going to go ahead and clean out, we want to be sure, oops, you're too far ahead now again, whoops, go back, that we have the right tools. And for cleaning things out, the right tools, first of all, are pretty simple. Boxes, bags, right? We need some boxes that we can put stuff in, load it up. We need bags. We need painter's tape is my favorite. You can use sticky notes. Painter's tape is way better. It's dirt cheap. You can get it anywhere, sticks to everything, doesn't ruin anything. And you can mark what boxes are for. You can mark an area. This is for, my child Anna to review when she comes home. Whatever it is, painter's tape and Sharpies are a phenomenal tool. Garbage bags, I want you to have 2 colors if you can. We always use clear or white bags for donations so that we can see inside. and then green or black, I don't even know what that color is, that dark color, trash bags for trash and garbage. And that we ensure that we don't ever donate a bag of trash. We don't ever throw away a bag of donations. So if you use 2 different colored bags, that's a great way to go ahead and make sure that things go to the right places. And I can't tell you enough, over label things, because what happens is we make a pile, and then all of a sudden we go away and we come back a day later and we have no idea what's in that pile or what we were doing with it. So over label. The other thing I want you to really think about, kind of as you think about getting ready, is safety. Please always wear closed-toed shoes. I've ripped off toenails moving stuff. It's not fun. You don't want to do it. So closed-toed shoes are really important. If you're going to be in a basement or an attic, please wear a mask, because there's a lot of schmuckus and dust that you're going to be dredging up. You're going to probably be exposed to maybe some droppings from bugs and ants or mice, stuff like that. So masks are a great safety tool. And finally, for safety with your tools, please always keep your phone with you. If you're going to be in an attic or a shed or even the garage and something happens and you fall, something falls down on you, you want to be able to get that phone and call for help. So please always, always be safe as you're working your way through right-sizing your home, especially in areas where you might be a little bit more isolated. The next slide, Ashley, if you'll flip us. One of my really kind of keys to success that as I watch people who do this well is people who have an accountability partner or a buddy. And I just love Lucy and Ethel because I want everybody to have fun doing this. For me, it's fun. So I want y'all to feel the same way. Now, the natural reaction is for us to grab a spouse because they're there and it's kind of partially their stuff too. The problem is that in almost every marriage I come across, there's a keeper and there's a giver awayer. And the opposites are what makes us attract. It's what makes us a great team as a couple because we bring balance. But sometimes that can be a little bit difficult as we are trying to downsize. So sometimes your spouse is not the best partner. People will also go with a child, which can be an awesome accountability partner, an awesome person to work with you. But if there's a lot of emotion, sometimes that can get a little bit tricky. Barter with a buddy. Have a girlfriend come over and help you do this. If you're a guy and you want to do the garage, have a guy come over. Make it fun. Have a beer if it's hot outside. Put some music on. Dance while you do it. Give yourself a reward. I'm one of those people that if you have snacks, I will do anything. So have snacks, have breaks, give yourself a reward when it's done. If I get this closet done today, then I get to go get a massage or get my nail done. Please don't reward yourself with buying more stuff. That's kind of counter to what we're trying to do. But go ahead and give yourself, some sort of positive reinforcement for doing a really good job. So again, keep it light, keep it fun. Remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're not going to get there in one day. Have the right tools, grab a buddy, keep it light, keep it fun, be safe, and then let's get going. So if Ashley, you'll flip me to the next switch. Everything in your house fits into one of 5 categories, right? You're going to keep it, you're going to gift it, you're going to donate it, sell it, or trash it. You've got the tip on the garbage bags for trash, so we're not going to talk about that today, but we are going to kind of focus on those other 4 categories. So before we get going into those categories, again, one more word of wisdom. Ashley, if you'll switch for me. I don't want you to overthink your decisions. What happens is we tend to get all up into our heads and we start thinking about stuff. And if you think about it, I have seen women justify 75 pairs of black shoes, right? You can come up with, and men are really, really, really good at justifying 13 hammers. Apparently you need different hammers, all different things. If you get up in your head, you can justify keeping almost anything in your house. You can't get into your head because you overthink it. And if you do that, every decision becomes agony. It takes forever. You're going to be doing this for way too much time. Nobody's got time for that. You got to be able to make decisions. So my trick for this is channel your inner Goldilocks. If you remember the fairy tale or the story about Goldilocks, I think she deserves superhero status. She was a chick who knew what she wanted, right? She walks into the bear's house and she sits in a chair and the chair is too small. Goldilocks does not say, if I just lose 5 more pounds, this chair is going to be perfect. This is awesome. There's nothing wrong with this chair if I just suck it in. She doesn't say that. She gets out of the chair that's too small. She gets into the big chair. It's too big. It doesn't fit. She does not think someday I might have a really large friend. She doesn't think if I gain 20 pounds or if I grow 6 inches, this chair is perfect. No, she gets out of the chair. She sits in the comfortable chair that fits her properly. She goes to the porch. It's too hot. She does not burn her mouth. She goes to the porch. It's too cold. Cold porridge is disgusting. She goes to the right porridge. She doesn't overthink things. She follows her gut. It works or it doesn't. Yes or no. Make the decision. Go with it. 99.9% of the time when you follow your gut, you do not regret it. Trust your gut. Go with it. Try not to overthink. So, okay, now we're going to go down into the next category, or the next slide. And that is going to be the love it, keep it. Should say keep on the basket. And we're going to talk about keeping things. Now, I only want you to keep things that you really love or that you use or you need. So let's talk about love. Ashley, go ahead and give us one more slide, please. There are different types of love. So the first one we hear all the time when we're helping people downsize is, I used to love it. In 8th grade, that sweater looked good on me and I was so hot and Greg Gullis loved me. And oh my gosh, I used to love that sweater so much. Used to love something is not a reason necessarily to keep it. You used to love it. That time has passed. You are a better and different person now. Another type of love that we hear all the time is, I should love it. I should love it because Jeff gave it to me. I should love it because Ashley made it when she was a little girl. You should love it. And there's this sense of guilt that really somebody gave it to you. Here's what I'm going to tell you. 99% of the time that person doesn't even remember giving it to you. If they do and you were to ask them, they would most likely tell you they really don't care what you do with it. It's okay to let it go. So that guilt that we put around should is really something we impose on ourselves, not what they're imposing on us. And it's okay to just let that go. Just let it go. The other love that I hear about all the time, especially from women, is someone else loved it, particularly somebody that they've loved and lost. So my mom loved this bowl. This was her favorite bowl. She took it out on every holiday. She loved this beautiful, Hummel figurine, this collection of Hummels. My mom loved them. I can't get rid of them. My mom loved them. So once again, I'm going to tell you that it's okay. That's a guilt you're putting on yourself. Let it go. Let it go. Because I promise that wherever those loved ones are now, in hopefully a much better place, they're not thinking about dishes. They're not thinking about Hummels. They're not thinking about material things. What we all want when we pass is to be remembered, to be loved and respected, and to be honored. And those things are inside. They're not held in a bowl or a dish or a Hummel collection. So if you're holding on to things that you don't want to let go of because somebody else loved them, it's okay to let them go. Just kind of recognize that for what it is and go ahead and say, I'm going to say goodbye at this point. When I talk about things that you really love, for me, those are things that if the house caught on fire, you would actually consider running back in to get. So they're like, oh, I'm not living without that. If I were to take it away from you and hide it, you would miss it, or you would know it was gone, or you would be sad. Those are the things that you really love. Those are the things we always want you to keep and we never want you to let go of. So think about, do I really, really love it? Or do I love it for reasons that maybe don't make a lot of sense right now for this point in my life? So do you love it? That's our first category. The next category we're going to go to is, can we gift it to someone? So Ashley, if you'll flip us to actually the gift slide, that's one more down past that one. The trick to gifting that what we found is really cool and can be amazing is to be creative with it. So if you look on that, Ashley, if you go down to the next slide, you'll see that there are some different ideas. These are just some of the things that we've seen people do that we love. Kind of a dirty trick, but we'll tell people we all have too many coffee mugs. Like everybody has valuable real estate being taken up by 50 coffee mugs and they use 2. The one they drank out of this morning and the one that's clean for tomorrow, right? So take a coffee mug and plant a little flower in it and give it away. Again, a little bit of a dirty trick for the person you're giving it to. Hopefully they're not on this webinar, but go ahead and, pass it along with a happy thought. We've seen some really cool framed ties that were, grandfather or father's ties, quilts made out of shirts, quilts made out of ties, quilts made out of baby memorabilia, quilts made out of dresses. So some really cool quilts can be made to remember someone. And what's cool about a quilt is somebody can actually wrap up in it and kind of feel the presence of that person that they've lost. Another cool thing with gifting is writing a note, maybe in a book or on the back of a picture frame. Most of us, if we see the handwriting of someone that we've loved, a mom or grandma, if I see my mom or my grandma's handwriting, I know right away whose that was. And I actually have a physical, like a heart feeling when I see that handwriting. A lot of us have that feeling. We can actually give that feeling to someone else, someone that loves us. So maybe take a picture and on the back of it, write, this is where your dad and I honeymooned. We had a really great vacation. Don't forget the story about when your dad spilled his drink or fell off the cliff, or not fell off the cliff, but did something like that. So, add a story, add a memory to it, or a book, maybe you write in it that a character reminded you of someone that you love and care about. One of the absolute coolest things we've seen is old tools. We've seen old tools framed, which is neat, but we've also seen them, clients put them in wreaths that hang on a garage door or a back door, which is kind of a cool way to save a father or grandfather's tools, maybe vintage tools. The best gifts I've ever seen were done by us with a client, Nan Fabio. She actually lived in Cornelius. She had 3 granddaughters and none of them were married yet. They were high school and college, and we did wedding boxes for them. So what we did was she kind of gave some thought to each of the girls' personalities. The one granddaughter, we packed up champagne glasses and wine glasses for her. We boxed them, wrapped them, and she wrote a note saying that these were the champagne glasses that she and the grandfather had used when they bought their first house. And she really hoped that her granddaughter would use these to celebrate her first home. And they got wrapped up and put away for that granddaughter for later. She did one that had a beautiful tea set that she had tucked away. And she wrote a note to that granddaughter saying, I know you love tea. I want you to use this tea set. I want you to put it in with your dishes, take it out and use it every day. And if you break a dish, it's okay. She gave the granddaughter permission to break it because she gave the granddaughter permission to use it and love it and cherish it as opposed to shoving it away in a cabinet where nobody saw it. So we boxed that up. For the third granddaughter, we did a stack of Dr. Seuss books and an old quilt or blanket that she had at her house. And for that granddaughter, she wrote a note saying, when you were little, we used to love to snuggle up and read together. I hope you'll read these books with your children and I get choked up, wrap yourself in this blanket and know that I'm with you and I love you. And so these gifts were packed up and put away. We pray that Nan is at all 3 of those weddings for her granddaughters. And if she is, her shopping's done, which is amazing. But if she isn't, then those granddaughters know on those milestones of their life that their grandmother was thinking about them and she was with them. So as you downsize, think about how you can kind of get creative. Pinterest may become your best friend, or your craft friends may become the ones that you want to bake cookies for. So you really want to try to get creative because there's some cool stuff you've got that really could be enjoyed by people that you know and that are in your life. So that's gifting. Ashley, if you will go to the next slide, we're going to talk about donating next. So if she will flip to the next basket, says donate, and then we're going to go down and talk about intentional donating. I really believe there are so many people that can use stuff that we have in our attics, in our basements, in our spare closets, and we're holding on to them. And really, we could actually be making someone else's life better. We've pictured here note cards. Senior centers love note cards. They love magazines. As people age and sometimes dementia sets in, they need to work on their fine motor skills. Magazines are phenomenal for senior centers because they'll cut and paste and glue and make collages and make crafts. Senior centers love party supplies because they love to have parties for their participants. School supplies are amazing to donate to a preschool or a daycare or a local teacher. They are so overwhelmed and they just need resources so badly. And how many of us have crayons sitting in a cabinet someplace that we haven't used since our grandkids were little? That's a really great one to do. In Charlotte, we have 2 amazing wardrobe options for business clothes or nicer clothes. We have Suit Up Charlotte, which is a nonprofit in Charlotte that helps with men's business clothing. They help men find jobs. They teach them interview skills, and then they dress them in at least one nice suit so that they have something that makes them feel good. Dress for Success is another local nonprofit that does the same type of thing for women. So that's such a cool thing to give our old clothes to that we're not wearing. I know so many of us are working from home right now. We don't wear our suits anymore. So why not give them to someone that can really use them and who lives be enriched by it? I love donating towels, sheets, and blankets to animal shelters. They are always in need of things that they can use with the animals and then put into a washing machine. It can't be too big that they can't fit it into a washing machine, but we all have extra sheets in our closets that we don't really use. Old towels, Disney towels from when our kids were little, can't donate them. They're a little raggedy. Get them to an animal shelter. That's a great place to donate. And then honestly, one of my favorite nonprofits ever, favorite in Charlotte for sure, is called Beds for Kids, bedsforkids.org. They are a nonprofit that get beds and bedroom furniture to children. In Charlotte alone, just Charlotte, there are 14,000 children that don't have a bed to sleep on. They don't have their own bed. And so we expect these kids to get up and behave and learn and grow and function, and they don't even get a good night's sleep. So to the extent we have extra bedroom furniture, they will actually, in the Charlotte market, they will come and pick up. But if we can give kids a good night's sleep or a desk to do their homework at, or a lamp, sometimes they don't even have lamps. It's just a beautiful, beautiful nonprofit and a great way to give back. So as you look at donations, animal shelters, senior centers, preschools, daycares, schools, churches, any sort of mission or ministry type program, and even medical clinics need items. So if you have a local free clinic that's near you, that's another great place to go ahead and try to call and ask what they're accepting for donations. So that is kind of my theory or my information on donating. Next, I'm going to have Ashley switch. Our next bucket or basket is selling. So that's our next option. We can keep stuff, we can gift it, we can donate it, we can sell it. So now with selling, before we even go into that, the next slide talks about fair market value, because it's absolutely critical if you're going to sell something that you do a little research and you know what it's worth. Fair market value is what something is worth today. It's not what you paid for it. You paid a lot. We know it was really good, but it's not what you paid for it. It's not what it was worth 5 years ago. It's not even what it was worth last year when, for example, mid-century modern and the 70s was like super, super hot, and that's starting to fade now. Fair market value, the value of the things in your home, is what someone will pay today for them, what they will give you in cash if you don't twist their arm, you don't guilt or shame them, and you give them time to carefully consider. So fair market value is kind of the real deal, the real number. The best way to find that is to go actually to the good old standby eBay and to look up things that are similar to what you've got, but make sure that you turn on the sold filter. So you can look at stuff on eBay for sale all day long, but that's what people want to get for it. What you want to do is make sure you see what people have sold that item for recently. So put that little sold filter on there on eBay, and that will start to give you a real good feel for what things are actually worth today. And again, keep in mind, you didn't buy your dining room table as an investment, right? Again, you have Cornerstone, you have your advisors for that. You bought your dining room table because it fit perfect in your dining room and it looked gorgeous and it was your style and you wanted a place to gather with your family and your friends. So we can't really look at downsizing and selling stuff as, oh my gosh, I should be getting more money for this. We didn't buy these things with that intention. We bought these things with the intention of using them, not of reselling them. So kind of keep that thought in mind as you go through this and have a feel for what fair market value actually is, because that's what you're going to get for your items most realistically. So again, going to that sell category, we want to sell things now. We've identified what they are. We have a feel for what fair market value is. And if Ashley flips, you'll see we're at another fork in the road. We can either decide to sell things ourselves or use a reseller. And there are pros and cons to both selling things yourself and using a reseller. So let's talk about selling things yourself. And now, Ashley, when you flip, you'll go 2 ahead for us. So when you sell things yourself, the best thing about selling it yourself is that you get all the money, all the proceeds come directly to you. There is no commission, no percentage or anything like that you have to worry about. You get all the proceeds. Beautiful part. The flip side of that is you do all the work, and it is a boatload of work. So first of all, to sell stuff nowadays, most everybody sells things online. COVID has been amazing in changing our culture to one where we like to buy things in our underwear or our pajamas at home. So you're going to need some technical skills to be able to sell things online. Typically, you sell things one at a time, so it's a little bit slower. When you sell things online, you really want to be sure that you're very descriptive and you're good with kind of putting out what it accurately representing what it is you're selling and putting it at a fair price, because people are going to ask you a million questions and they're also going to try to beat you up on price. And I really want you to consider safety as you do this. So when you sell yourself, your items yourself, please be sure that if people are going to come to your house, you're never alone. Do a porch pickup where they just stay outside. Don't invite them in. If you're meeting someone, go to a very public place where there's a lot of lights, a lot of people. You always want to be very safe when you are meeting someone to exchange an item for money. Zelle and Venmo are great ways to transfer money because you're not walking around with a bunch of cash. Our favorite places to sell online have kind of shifted from eBay and Craigslist to Facebook Marketplace and Nextdoor. I love those because they're local, so you're not going to incur usually a transport fee. People can come pick stuff up. You can kind of cyber stalk and look online at people's social media and get to know who you're selling to, which is a nice benefit to it. And they're your neighbors, so that's kind of cool. You're keeping things in the community. OfferUp is a great website to sell things. There's one if you have a lot of real vintage or antique things. Ruby Lane is a great online website that you can use. So there's all sorts of tools and places online that you can sell things yourself that are really great. I mean, if you have the time and the energy and the skills to do it, I would totally recommend that you go ahead and sell yourself. And then there's the good old trusty yard sale. So you can go ahead and do a yard sale. Again, super time consuming. Prepare yourself emotionally because people are going to walk into your yard and offer you $1 for something that you paid $100 for. But steel yourself and go ahead and do it. And that's a great way to go ahead and clear out some of your excess items on your own and do it in your own time frame. Do it when it's comfortable for you and how it's comfortable for you. So you can sell yourself, or the other option we're going to look at is hiring a reseller. So this is where you basically hire a professional. You're going to pay them a commission or a fee to help you sell the items. So again, the plus here is that you get a good percentage, a high percentage of what it's worth. And quite often resellers will sell things for more because they know where and how to sell them. That is the kind of the price that you pay, but then you also have ease of use. Right? You're not wasting your time or spending a ton of your time trying to sell and market these things. Somebody else is doing the legwork for you, which is beautiful. There are 4 kind of common options for using a reseller. The first is consignment. That's an old good steady. We used to consign a ton of things What we're finding now is that consignment stores have become a little bit more picky. They only want things that are in season. They don't want large things. They want clothing that is, current, that is within the last year or two, or fashions that are current. They have too many dining room tables, so they're not an option for that. So consignment stores, make sure you call first, ask what they're accepting, ask what their percentages are, make sure you read their contract. They should give you a written contract. They can be a great solution, but sometimes they get a little tricky. The next one is estate sales. There are a lot of really good estate sale professionals out there. Julie Hall did an amazing webinar in this series, and she is a phenomenal estate sale person. That's another great option that has things right there in your house. Everything sells, they handle it all, they do the work. You get a high percentage of the proceeds, and it's, professionally, everything is taken care of. Typically with an estate sale, as well as liquidation, which is next on our list, everything goes, which is beautiful. There isn't a pile of stuff left over afterwards that you have to deal with. They deal with everything that you've got. A liquidation sale is really just like that. When you see those big red and yellow, signs out there, liquidation sales, they're going to give you a little bit of money, but they're going to take everything away fast, and you're probably going to end up with cash. So sometimes liquidation sales or liquidators are great because they're so easy and it's so fast and it's just boom, done. That's a good option in some situations. And then finally, auctions. With COVID, we've seen most auctions shift to online auctions. Again, COVID's been great at training us in buying things online and at home, and gotten us comfortable buying things sight unseen without touching and seeing them in person. So online auctions have gone, through the roof. I can only speak for our company, but our auctions have on average over 15,500 catalog views, which means over 15,000 people are looking at the things that we're selling in each and every auction. So auctions have turned into a phenomenal option for people. Again, you get a high percentage. The auctioneer does all, the auction firm does all of the work. They deal with everything, even the things that don't sell or can't sell. They'll handle donations for you, and they basically leave the area that they've auctioned items from broom swept and empty. So that's a great option. So there's some really good choices for using resellers. A lot of times people will do a combination of selling themselves and using a reseller. What we typically find is people start trying to sell things themselves, and then they realize it's a little more complicated, time consuming, or they get tired of it, and then they pull us in. That's fine. So there's kind of lots of combinations that you can do. This is about what feels right for you and what is best. So now Ashley has jumped, which is perfect, ahead to the next one. As we begin the conclusion of the webinar, I want you guys to all know that there is help. There are senior move managers and professional organizers who specialize in this type of work. So professional organizer is, just like it sounds, trained to help you get organized, which can often include downsizing. Senior move managers are people like myself who are trained and tested in helping older adults or seniors through the process of transitioning, usually from one home to another, or aging more safely in place. So we are trained in helping people make the decisions, work through the emotional aspects, as well as the logistical, physical aspects of navigating their current home situation or getting them to another home that maybe is better suited for this point in their life. To find senior move managers, there is the National Association of Senior Move Managers. You can go on their website and find them all across the country. They vet the move managers, so you can go there and make sure that you're getting someone that's bonded and insured and has been trained and certified in all of that. And there's also the National, it used to be the National Organization of Professional Organizers, and I believe that they've changed their name. But if you Google NAPO, or National Organizers, you will be able to also find their website and search for people that have been trained as well there. So there's help. We know that this is overwhelming. We know it can be daunting. We know that it can be stressful. Don't be afraid to ask for help. A lot of times pulling in a professional makes it a lot quicker. We can make it easier. We do this every day. We're not quite as emotional. We're more objective. So we can guide you through, keep you focused, keep you on track, keep you moving forward, kind of hold you accountable. So there is help out there. And even if you just call us for advice or to pick our brains, that's totally, at least in my case, absolutely fine. Finally, my last kind of thought on this is I really don't want people to beat themselves up. We all get into this situation. We all accumulate too much stuff and it happens. It's okay. It's life. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. Be forgiving, be kind to yourself, and just take it one step at a time. We eat an elephant one bite at a time, just one step at a time. Go ahead. This is a journey. And it's kind of a long path, but it can be joyful. It can be incredibly rewarding. Almost all of our clients feel lighter. They feel relief when this is done. Your attitude in this process is absolutely everything you choose. So choose to make it joyful, choose to make it fun, choose to make it a family event, choose to make it something that gets you to a better place. So with that, I am going to kind of stop and slow down and hand the baton back to Jeff and let him take it from here.
Thank you, Lori. A lot of information, everybody. And we realize, again, Lori said, this is not one of the, I think this is life, right? I know I was sharing with Lori the other day, my parents who when we grew up, and I think most people know, I grew up in Queens, New York. We lived in the same house for about 45 years. Before my parents moved to North Carolina and now moved to Florida. But my dad had a brother, my mom only child. So when someone passed away, our basement became where everything went. And there was curtains that we would block so no one would see all the stuff. So you try and you say, oh, it's not too bad, but you just try and block it, right? And I know when my parents did move, it was such a daunting task to dive in, because there was G.I. Joes, there was Barbie dolls from my sister, there was my Aunt Elsie's china, there was Aunt Edie's silverware that was now not silver anymore. It was etc. Right? So you go on, and I know it was, my mother was the one that would not give anything away. My dad, kind of like me, was just, we haven't used it, never use it. It's either donate it or do
get rid of it.
But as everything boxed up, they didn't, they had that, they didn't hire someone, right? So when they moved from New York to Carolinas, we rented the storage unit, and now it's boxed up and moved it to the storage unit. Now they've, 3 years ago, moved to from North Carolina to Florida, and the same thing. We just boxed it up, and so over time they've kind of downsized a bit, but could have been a lot better. So this is just knowing that we did not go for help, and we should have, to someone like Lori. But I know I'm going to send Lori an email, because my parents are going to moving their apartment again. So it's another good time to downsize. So there's a lot of stuff out there going on. So if you do need help, again, reach out to the Cornerstone team. Lori's information is here. If you need it, just reach out to Ashley or someone in the office, and we can connect you with Lori and the folks at Room2Improve. So again, that the big thing, again, getting organized doesn't have to be a lonely task, right? There's people there to help guide, just like there are here on the Cornerstone Wealth team, to help guide you through the financial maze that's out there sometimes. So on behalf of Cornerstone, thank you, Lori, for your time and your expertise today. Appreciate everybody joining us. Again, this was recorded, so we'll pass this out in an email if you want to share it with friends, family, to help them. If someone is dealing with, needs some guidance, some moving, someone passed away, divorce, whatever it may be, or just change in life, whatever is going on, there are people to help, and realizing, again, we're not alone. So again, Lori, thank you everybody for being on the call, on the webinar today. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great October, and we will be talking to everybody soon. Thank you all.
Thank you.